Yes.
The other thing the district can do to reduce open requests is to post minutes of the subcommittees. Bring back board correspondence so that the public can see it, and actually stop the practice of doing business in subcommittees as not intentionally, but kind of subverts OPMA a little bit, and having the business of the board in full public view on all matters. You can really reduce open requests by doing that. So over the past few months, I emailed, here we go with this thing, man. Can't you guys just get a screw for this? It's fine. Over the past few months, I've emailed everyone with information about the budget and proficiencies. I was the person who sent like 5,000 emails. Dr. Foregger and Ms. Khanna were the only two who responded. Several months ago, Ms. Stanley responded to the building thing classroom surveys that I've submitted to the board, saying that she looked at it or did not look at it, and implied that the respondents were either not real or compromised, which I found was an odd thing for a board member to state, given the quality of surveys we put out. And I will say that every respondent to the building theme classroom survey was completed, and that the evidence was supported by the reaction the public had in meetings and throughout that whole process. I also provided you with results of a community-wide evaluation, which I don't think I'm going to publish. And it was a rather long and detailed evaluation, and Mr. Cianculli finally responded to an email by saying you were doing a survey in which you were not looking for a high rate of responses, a novel approach to statistically significant surveys. And, you know, an evaluation of that size would likely never reach statistical significance. I mean, it was a 7-8 page document. It wasn't meant to be that. I guess it speaks to the tactic that appears to be that unless a survey or a tool is designed to elicit a response favorable to your positions and that of the superintendent, you try to undermine it, or you try to somehow harm its credibility. And I think it might be better, if you really want to improve relationships with the public, to take the feedback in a way that might be a little bit more open and accommodating. You had 2 board members talking about proficiencies. I looked at those numbers. Are those the most important numbers in the world? I don't know. I mean, they're important to me, and they're important enough for the state to track. We dropped in math, science, and English across every single school. Every single school dropped. Now, I don't know if that's the only measure, but how you can protect a superintendent from speaking about that, how you would all come together and stop the 2 people who are doing the job of trying to ask the right questions is beyond me. Like, what's your job? Isn't your job to figure this out? Isn't math, science, and English one of the most important things we do as a school? And isn't that one measure an important enough thing for the superintendent to talk to the community about? Like, why would you abstain from that? Why would you vote no to have the superintendent talk to the public about that a month later? Why? It's ridiculous. Have a good night.
And then the second thing is, we're a board of committees, right? That's how we work, because we are a decently large district, right? I think smaller districts can maybe get away with not doing board of committees, but we work that way so we can get as much done as we do, right? Because the agenda, as you can see, is huge, right? If we had to discuss all of that in a meeting prior to this, right, it gets very difficult. And so we are a board of committees, and we do encourage each other to reach out. Tom, I know we've talked, but you know, you really still haven't reached out. Dipti, you haven't reached out to the curriculum committee about the scores. So, you know, if you do want to get these things, right, they're important to the students and important to you, you need to then work with the committees, right? That's how our board works.
So one point on that, does the curriculum committee now have a date on which we can expect anything, given that this
Tomorrow.
Perfect. I'm looking forward to the report. I was going to say, I'm not the chair of the curriculum committee, so you'd have to ask Pam.